Good morning and welcome to the Monday morning BOCC meeting for our budget review. Go ahead, guys.
Thank you, Susie, Finance Manager. So we'll just jump right in. So the general fund has,
Oh, can I interrupt? Can we advance it here? No? Oh, okay.
we'll do it old fashioned.
We're technically limited.
Oh, we're limited, okay.
Okay, next slide, please. So currently the general fund has brought in $24.8 million in revenue. We are currently outpacing our revenue in terms of expenses. We've spent about 29 million. So it's about 4.2 million that we're currently behind when compared to revenues. We are anticipating another 300,000 to come in. These are through May. So next month, there was a property tax settlement that will net about 300,000 for the general fund and then 300,000 for the road fund. So that's an increase we weren't anticipating originally. For county road fund, they've brought in about 11.2 million and have spent about 6.2 million currently. So they're ahead of their expenses by about 5 million.
On our general fund, is that typically the case? That's this time of year that we're spending more than we're bringing in right now?
Yes. And so we typically have another property tax receipts that are in October. And so those are approximately around 10 to $11 million.
Okay.
So, but we anticipate for the whole year, we are going to have a deficit. We project that already in our budget.
So this is a normal trend every year?
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
But not the end of the year deficit is not a normal trend.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So solid waste, they have about 8.1 million in revenues and about 20 million in expenses. So that includes a transfer that's occurred of 11.5 million. So the solid waste fund has to put reserves aside to pay liabilities associated with post-closure costs of the landfill. So that's why expenses are so large. They've outpaced revenue by about 12.5 million.
Is that because we just pay that up front at the beginning of the year?
Yes. Mhm.
Talk about the receipt. So we were a little concerned with the revenue, so we looked at last year what the trends were. And it looked like the receipts at the landfill did pick up in the second half of the year. So we are expecting revenue to climb a little faster this second half.
People doing spring cleaning and summer cleaning and
Getting rid of all the junk.
yeah.
So revenues at a glance, we were looking at sales tax and we are about 2.5% down this year compared to 2024 at this time last year. Like Kathy mentioned, we are expecting more property tax to come in October when they're due for the second half of the year. Nothing too exciting for intergovernmental revenues, but for goods and services, we did notice about a $20,000 increase when compared to 2024 that had to do with jail concessions.
With jail concessions, what is that?
So items that the inmates need.
Yes, sundry items.
Oh, okay.
So that was kind of unexpected. For miscellaneous revenues, we have seen So there was a decrease in the fair market value and the investment earnings for the general fund. But for intergovernmental revenues for county roads, they also did see a decrease in motor vehicle fuel tax. So we were looking into that, and the county has received roughly 60,000 less each month this year. And the state was forecasting to have less motor vehicle fuel tax this year just because of the push for electric vehicles becoming more fuel efficient. So it is kind of in line with what the state was anticipating. It looked like for that line item, we had budgeted about $2 million for 2025 in revenue. Based on an article we had seen, they were forecasting that Cowlitz County would receive about 1.9 million in total for motor vehicle fuel tax. So county road taxes as a whole, when looking at the May 2025 property tax receivable report and comparing it to 2024, it looks like we have collected about 5% more in property taxes at this point in time when compared to 2024.
Is that due to more people paying or to increased property values? Do you know?
I don't know.
No?
We could probably follow up with Debbie and get her insight on what she thinks has led to that.
Did you say 5% more or 0.5%?
I believe it's, I want to say it was 5%, but I'll double check because it says 0.5. Yeah. I'll double check that number and get back to you.
Okay.
And then as we mentioned, we are for solid waste expecting the revenue to climb a little faster this second half of the year, just based on trends from last year.
I'm wondering, with that new contract that we just signed, they were paying month to month or they were paying as they were bringing stuff in, correct?
Right.
I'm wondering how that's gonna affect our budget revenue.
Well, they should
Moving
still be
forward.
paying month to
Yeah.
month, but they were paying the going rate until that contract, so that may have affected a bit.
Mhm. Okay.
Next slide, please. So for expenses, the general fund has a budget of 76.6 million. So far through May, we have spent about 29 million in total. So services had an overall increase of 700,000. That was mainly due to the increase in IT billings that go out in January to all the departments. We also are expecting transfers. There's about a $1 million difference right now between 2025 actuals and 2024 actuals. We actually just performed that transfer last week of $1 million that goes from the general fund into the capital improvements fund. County road, you can see that the budget for 2024 capital was about 14.5 million. And this year it's 27 million. So at the end of last year, we had done a budget amendment to reduce the capital expenditures to move them into 2025. And that was due to project delays that were occurring last year. The 13,000 for debt service looks a little odd, and that's just an accounting transaction for booking SPIDAs or subscription information technology arrangements. They have to amortize those out, so that's what that entry is and why it's didn't have a budget for it.
Where are you talking about 13,000? Oh, I see.
On the
next-
county roads,
got
yeah.
it.
It's a reversal. They booked it in 2024. And then they reverse it in 2025. And they'll book another entry for this year, but it's much later in the year. To,
And could
Okay.
could you go back to you said that the 2024 budget overall was 33.7 for the road, and then this year we're at 50. Why was that such a huge increase? Were we rolling over projects?
Mhm.
Okay,
So last year, they originally had budgeted more for capital that we ended up doing a budget amendment at the end of last year to move
Okay.
those costs. So solid waste has a budget of 32.8 million, and we've spent about 20.6 million. So we did see an increase in services of 340,000, and that was mainly for professional service contracts, from what we could see. And we also, in that services line, there was an $87,000 increase again to those internal service billings, IT, insurance. Sorry, just looking at my notes. That $11.5 million transfer, that's what we had mentioned earlier about setting up those liabilities for the future. We also do have the second quarter billing included in our expenditures this year, which I believe wasn't the case in 2024. The second quarter payment was made a little later. So when you're comparing them, there's a timing difference there.
and is this money that we're setting aside for the post-closure, is this for both landfills or just one? It's for both?
both,
Okay.
both.
Next slide, please. So this is our property tax receivables through the end of May. It looks like we have about 9 million left to collect just for 2025. So in total, there's 9.3 million outstanding, but some are from prior years. So that ending balance column shows you what's still outstanding for that tax year. So this is just a comparison of our sales tax from 2023 all the way through 2025. So as you can see, we were up a little bit in January, but have been lagging by about 5% in 2025 when compared to 2024. So as we get near the end of the year, we'll be taking a look at this to see if we need to do a budget amendment to reduce that 11.5 million that we were expecting at the end of last year.
What percentage of our overall funds is sales tax?
On the revenue side, the largest revenue that we have is our property tax, which is about 20 million. And then this is the second largest at 11.5. Yep. So out of revenue, it's about our total revenue is like we're estimating what 56 million, 60
I
million,
think so.
something like that. So it is a good big chunk, but anyway. So that's why we're monitoring it every month.
Yeah.
So recording fee transactions, again, we do a comparison from 2023 to 2025. So they have seen an increase this year in the amount of recording transactions that they're performing. So roughly, we're up about 30% this year compared to 2024. And since the number of transactions have gone up, we would expect that the amount of revenue would be in line with that. And we have seen that as well, that the revenue has gone up this year associated with those transactions. And that's all we got for you.
Thank you.
Thank
I don't
you.
have any other questions.
I'm good.
Thanks, ladies.
Okay.
Keep
Thank
up the good work.
Yeah. So we have to wait for Public Works? Okay. Yeah, we'll go ahead and recess. Good morning and welcome to our 10 o'clock BLCC meeting, with Public Works. Savannah, you online?
I'm here.
All right, good morning.
Good morning. Anna Lunday, who's our right-of-way agent, is hoping to jump on. I don't know if she's on yet. She is going to be speaking about the public hearing that's tomorrow at the 9 o'clock board meeting. So she's really a subject matter expert, so I'm kind of just holding on a minute until she's able to get on. That's okay.
Yeah.
She hasn't done one of these virtual Zoom meetings for the agenda review, so I'm just gonna reach out to her again. Hang on one second.
She's on.
Hi, Anna.
Can we not see her?
Well, she's muted right now, I think.
Looks like she has a video, but it's just dark. Anna, if you unmute yourself, at least we could just test to see if your audio is working.
Savannah's gonna give her a call.
Oh, she's unmuted.
There we go. Technology.
Yeah.
Okay, I have her audio and visual are not working, so I actually have her on speakerphone. I'm hoping you guys can hear okay. Go ahead, Anna, see if we can.
Good morning, commissioners. This is Anna Lunday, Public Works. Tomorrow, we will have a public hearing with regard to LS Networks, Lightspeed Networks, putting in a telecommunication franchise. They have historically had one. It did expire. When it comes to a franchise agreement, yeah, it's covered by state RCW. It's as long as the contract terms are adhered to, they are permitted to be within the right of way as long as they do have a franchise agreement. So they're seeking to have another for 10 years. The type of equipment that they put into this utility is fiber, poles, vault, conduit, splice cases, and most of this is actually above ground, like attached to other franchise holders, PUD telephone lines. So
Anna, do you, for the board, and they may already know this, but for anybody online or in the crowd, can you explain what a franchise is and what types of services may come up?
a franchise is an agreement that is held between county and different entities, whether it's a business, there are private franchises. It runs through our right of way. So lands dedicated for transportation, and it is various utilities, whether it is water or sewer, sanitary sewer lines. It can be telecommunication. It can be through the Cable Act.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you. Sorry, I didn't mean to, I would just,
You're
for
welcome.
people who may not, I didn't know what that was when I first started. So just a little preface too is that Anna's been working on really, I would say, cleaning up and organizing and doing a lot of research on our franchise agreements. These things have exist for decades. Some of them exist. Some of them exist but shouldn't based off of no agreements. So she's been working pretty hard in that position in trying to make sure these are all in order. Anna, you kind of developed a database of sorts to try to manage these because they are bound by RCW and the agreements with the counties. And there's not a lot of cases where, you know, we, I guess, actively turned them down, but there could be. Anna, any comments on that?
Yes, so the database that's been created, it's held in the repository Laserfish, and the intention is to organize what we have and what needs to be replaced and to impact various departments. So the clarification is there for those primary users who aren't part of the upfront creation of the franchise agreements, whether it's organizing the certificates of insurance or allowing our inspector team to know which franchise agreements are active and therefore they can process a permit that was applied for to work within our right of way. The hope is that we can streamline a lot of information to readily provide it instead of not knowing if it exists or not.
That's a good way of putting it.
Keep it simple.
Yeah.
Is there a certain fee that's charged for these franchise agreements to the people that are using the right of way?
No, there are no fees that are actively charged. They, through the application to going to public hearing, they will pay for staff time. They will pay for publication, but not to actively be in the right of way, except for Cable Act. Those ones do pay PEG funds, which are quarterly payments based on connectivity between the company and the people using that utility in our area. Public education, government, so access to the public television, like how we stream these meetings on TV, those PEG funds facilitate that.
Yeah, I
The
think
cameras that are used in the public meetings, those are funded by those PEG funds.
And KLTV is, I think, partially funded by PEG funds. Is that correct? That's kind of
That
out
is
of the scope, but yeah, for an
That is
example.
correct.
So what's the name of this company again? This one?
This one is Lightspeed Networks. Instastar. I have a couple different names, but LS Networks is what the agreement will be under.
And what do they do?
Telecommunication through fiber connectivity. It's lit fiber.
So is it internet and phone or both?
I believe both.
So how does a franchise agreement with a company work that is attaching to the PUD's facilities there that are in or along the right of way? And so now you have users with franchises that attach to another user who doesn't have a franchise at this minute. Is there a lead?
Anyone who is within the right of way, even above ground, should have a franchise agreement. The pole owner should have a franchise agreement, but whatever dealings they have individually with their poles is not connected to the county. It is still the secondary franchise agreement holder. That's their responsibility to seek out and maintain an active agreement.
So they can have one with us through our right of way, but that doesn't mean that it automatically gives them access to a second or a third party's property. So
They are
PUD
not transferable, no.
Yeah, so they have to
Like the
separately go to
PUD would
PUD.
need theirs. LS Network would need theirs. PUDs would not extend to anyone else's. They're required to have their own franchise agreement. Does that make sense?
So who is it incumbent upon to get the franchise agreement? The landowner of that's giving the right of way? Or those people that are using to connect to others? Equipment.
I'm sorry, I did not quite hear that.
So
Can
I
you
think
please repeat?
he's asking whose burden is it to initiate the franchise? I think I can answer that if I butcher it. Tell me. It would be on the franchise seeker. They would approach us if they would like to use, access our right of way. Is that correct, Anna?
That is correct.
Oh,
However,
good.
there are times where I am actively seeking other entities out.
If we need to say, fix a road and we're digging things up, we need to go to the franchise holders, let them know, we need to ask to move their lines. We just had one recently, I think it was last summer, where I think it was Quest or Lumen, excuse me, who are changed names and they're notoriously hard to get a hold of. So we were working with them for months and months and months to try to move one of their lines off of a bridge we were working on. And we finally had to get legal support and Cowlitz tribe support, and finally we're able to get them to just agree to a franchise that said we would move it and put it back. So that burden was on us in that case.
So there was no franchise agreement in that situation.
So there was a franchise agreement, but we had to work with them in order to move or access their lines for our project. So even though there's an agreement in place, that agreement doesn't give us any, well, it depends on the agreement, but I guess it wouldn't give us any like just unilateral authority to go move their stuff.
And are they typically 10 years?
Currently, we are working with 10-year agreements. Historically, they have ranged 25 to 50 years. We are seeking to keep things about 10 to 15 years just because terms need to change.
Yeah, anything beyond that becomes just very difficult. It's not changing with the times of, it's just a better time frame. Same with like interlocals, we try not to do anything beyond a certain amount of time because things change.
So if
Example is insurance levels. When you call out a specific
Yeah.
liability limit, numbers change very quickly, and what was 10,000 years ago means nothing now. So just making sure that they're current and agreeable.
Yeah, good point.
So if we were gonna do for example, a road widening and we had to have the PUD relocate a pole, and they have 4 or 5 users with franchise agreements that are attached to their pole, and we notify the PUD to move the pole, whose responsibility is it to notify the other 4 people attached to their pole and tell them that they're required to move also?
We do a different project. No, I'm kidding. Sounds like
we
a hard
would-
one.
We would be under no onus to notify those individuals except for what comes up with the one call locates to let them know that we're having our project go through. When it comes to adhering to the contracts between the two parties, that would be between those two parties, not including the county.
So you're saying for a project that involved that in his description, we would just be notifying PUD and then it's on them to work with whatever parties that they're in contract with, essentially.
Yes,
Okay.
but part of our process is to, do the one call.
Yeah,
So when,
locate.
call before you dig, and do notification of whomever is placed there by record.
Okay.
Sounds good. I don't have any other questions. You, Steve?
No, I'm good.
I think we're good, Savannah. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you,
Wonderful.
Anna.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Okay. We don't have any executive session and we don't have any human resources stuff? No? All right. Steve, you got anything?
No.
All right. Well, I guess we'll go ahead and adjourn.